Huh? What? Hello? You want to watch chaos? Watch this. My name is Paul. What is your name? Jamie. Hi.
My name's Paul Myhill. Ever since I was a young man, I've been a world traveler. As a kid, I was a fast tracker, plunged headfirst into entrepreneurial ventures. With all the success, I was losing a sense of significance, my place in the world. My first real taste of suffering children came on a visit to Uganda in the 90s. A little girl named Peace, 2 years old, as fragile as balsa wood, was suffering from malaria, had lost her parents to AIDS. My wife and I took turns holding this little girl, wiping her brow, only to learn a couple of weeks later after returning to the United States that she didn't make it. And that little girl has left a lasting impression upon me. A person like little Peace should not have to die simply because she is born in the wrong quadrant of this globe, while we sit idly by chasing our toys, much like I used to do. There's a fair amount of places around the world where we put ourselves in a fair amount of risk. But our compassion for the children and asking the question, well, if not me, who? Who is going to stand in the gap and reach out to be an aid for these children? We're in Chisinau, Moldova right now, the 10th poorest nation in the world and certainly the most impoverished nation in all of Europe. Most people in the United States have never even heard of it. Moldova, known as the trafficking hub of this part of the world, population of a little over 4 million, and by some statistics, 400,000 of its people have been trafficked out.
This is the area where one of the head guys involved in human trafficking lives here, and nobody, police doesn't come this place.
Okay.
Just be careful. The cameras are on both sides of the house, and they see us. Be careful. Those guys are watching. It's a very known criminal area. If you come with a car and you're trying to run away from here, this is the only way. No way to get out of here. If you know so much, these guys would love, or they want to kill you.
Yeah.
Because you know the names, you know a lot of stuff. That's why I call these girls that are really released from human trafficking. They are like submarines. They go deep and they don't say anybody anything if they want to stay alive.
Those guys are living close to this railroad and are having girls transported
from this area. Connects Moldova to Romania, to Ukraine, and to the port in Ukraine on Odessa.
We're standing in one of Istanbul's port areas. Girls from Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, Transnistria are shipped to Turkey into the sex trade here, either as a destination point or as a transit point. The girls are actually put onto containers, and if you can imagine having a 32-hour plus ride in a container to then be let out and to then suffer the exploitation that occurs afterwards. The Turkish mafia basically rented a whole hotel, took these girls to this hotel, impregnated them, and the babies were then taken to have their organs harvested. Can you imagine the depth of depravity that it takes to take a poor child in an orphanage who's already lost their parents or already been abandoned, to then take them to a place of being raped, to then see that same child bear a child and maybe finally feeling like, gosh, I've accomplished something. Here's offspring, you know, of my womb, to only then have that child ripped away to be harvested. When you've got rich people in the Emirates and Turkey and other countries of affluence, and they've got a dying child, they don't care about the child in a poor developing world. All they care about is they want to save the life of their child. They don't care how that heart, how that liver, how that kidney comes. All they care about is their child. And there's men who are willing to facilitate that. It's warped. No one is immune. Women, children, boys, Southeast Asia, Indian subcontinent, Latin America, Eastern Europe. There is nobody that is immune and out of the grip of this evil. So we're in Pattaya, Thailand, an area known for the sex tourism industry. A lot of people come here actually on an official sex tour. You can see one of the tour buses.
Now he's got his hand on bare skin. It doesn't get more open than this. Hold on, this guy in the suspenders.
Yeah. As we've walked this street here, it feels like a carnival atmosphere. What can only be described as a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh yeah. She was young. She was young.
It's 5 a.m. in Patpong, one of Bangkok's prostitution districts. This bar beside me here has a rather offensive name, but the truth is that everything that goes on this street and many like it in Bangkok is truly offensive. There's 50 girls at 6 in the morning?
Yes, sir. But now happy hour. Happy hour, the first room.
No photo, no photo. Well, don't have the door open then.
One of the things that really gets to me personally is a lot of these girls have numbers pinned to their chest, where a client would then pick out a girl by a number. They don't have a name, they don't have a history, they don't have a family. They're simply a number. They're a piece of meat to be put on display and chosen for butchering. It's a little after 7 in the morning, and the girls are still working out on the streets.
It's a little early to be working this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, because in the night the police is catching.
In the nighttime, the police are snatching the girls?
Touching.
Oh, touching. They abuse the girls. So you like to work the daytime to avoid the police.
Just across the border in northern Thailand, actually in Burma, and the sign behind me pretty much says it all. An exhortation to not sell your children, to not see your children be placed into domestic servitude, to beat and abuse them, and to also see them in a situation of child prostitution or sexual slavery. Imagine being sold into slavery for $10.
ไม่มีความสุขค่ะพ่อแม่ก็ต่างคนต่างแยกกันอยู่
My mother sold me for about 300 baht back behind the house, about 10 bucks.
The scars run deep, and it takes a loving home to be able to help mend some of those wounds. In a lot of these countries we work in, these kids graduate or age out of these institutional orphanages, often corrupt institutional orphanages, where even the directors will call the traffickers and let them know when certain kids are being released. I'm now involved in a campaign, Traffic Jam. They're seeking to unite musicians and their fans to jam up child trafficking around the world while also jamming to make a difference. We have got a lot of artists that have given us signed instruments as part of this Instruments of Change program. I've got a beautiful guitar here that was donated to us by Dave Matthews. He signed it. He's put some pretty incredible artwork on it here because he believes in this cause, and he believes that this instrument can be an instrument of change. Just a stroke of a pen can break the chains of slavery for a child.
Hello. Wow, hi.
There's few things on this planet that elicit such a passionate response in people than the music they identify with and the causes they identify with, and to marry those together, there's power in that.
Before they can live the American dream, many migrant women have to survive a Mexican nightmare.
They know the price to pay for getting to the United States. The price is being sexually violated.
Women migrants pay only a few dollars to cross from Guatemala to Mexico, but the physical costs can be a lot higher. Sex is a form of currency. It can be traded, but sometimes women don't have a choice.
Along the way, on the train, they wanted to rape me.
We met Kati, which isn't her real name, in a migrant shelter by the border. That morning, she crossed the river from Guatemala into Mexico.
They pressed a knife against me and told me, if you don't go with us, we're going to kill you.
Sexual assault against women and girls is so common that many expect to be raped. Shelter directors and human rights protectors estimate that 80% of migrant women crossing Mexico are raped along the way. But the actual figures are impossible to know. Many women are ashamed to admit they've been brutalized, and almost all Central American migrants don't have permission to be in Mexico in the first place, meaning that going to the authorities means risking deportation. Prosecutor Alejandro Vila heads a special office dedicated to investigating crimes against migrants.
Of course we know about this. How could we not? There are cases where women offer their bodies in exchange for being able to cross over.
That kind of arrangement is so commonplace that a word exists to describe it: cuerpo matic or cuerpo matico, using the body like an ATM machine.
We have active cases here, even today, of authorities who've been detained and are facing criminal proceedings in the judicial system precisely for abusing the vulnerable, women migrants specifically.
And the at-risk population keeps getting younger. The number of unaccompanied Central American girls under the age of 18 apprehended at the US border has skyrocketed. It's up 77% this year alone. Gabriel Garcia, a member of Vila's task force, regularly patrols La Arrocera. It's a notorious stretch known for kidnappings and attacks. Garcia says that some assailants will even dress up as migrants and then attack women. He showed us where, on his beat, it happens the most.
This is the bridge where assailants attack migrants. They assault them here all the time. They always choose this specific point to intercept the victims, the migrants, for assault. In some cases, they will abuse the ladies who are traveling with a larger group of migrants.
Along this stretch of the border, rape is so predictable, Garcia says, that women and teens actually plan for it.
There have been times where women will take contraceptives beforehand, so if they become a rape victim, then they won't end up pregnant.
Sexual assault isn't the only danger women face. Hundreds of brothels and table dance bars clutter Mexico's southern border. The majority of sex workers in border towns like Mapastepec and Frontera Comalapa are migrant women who've been tricked or, as they say here, have fallen into prostitution.
Look, the trafficking of women in Comalapa, it's a boom.
Lawyer Elvira Gordillo helps women who've been tricked and trafficked into prostitution.
Women come here with the intention of working somewhere else. They never say, hey, I'm going to go to that town, to Chiapas, to Mexico, to work as a prostitute.
Many migrant women need money, she says, and are tempted by offers of temporary work in restaurants and bars. But those establishments serve more than food. They're really brothels. Letty left her native Honduras and was tricked into working in a Mexican brothel at age 16.
I was a waitress. And I also had to fichar. It's what they call it when someone arrives and invites you to have a drink and pass time. They say fichar. And well, we had to fichar.
The accounting system is one of tabs and of debts, which quickly become bondage. With Elvira's help, Letty's now filed a criminal complaint against the brothel owner who entrapped her. Elvira says that here in Frontera Comolapa, a red star painted outside a bar or table dance means that the business is paying protection fees.
And when an authority comes to that certain establishment, the only thing the owner has to do is pick up the phone, call the leader of the organization, and the leader is the one who will then say, you know what, don't mess with this business, because it's protected. And if you mess with it, you're not going to leave this town alive.
We're about 10 miles from the Mexico-Guatemala border, and behind each one of these doors, Central American sex workers service their clients one-on-one. Charity is originally from Guatemala. She says a friend brought her here to this brothel. She was promised work in a restaurant.
When I first arrived here, I was like, wait, this isn't a restaurant. The first time, oh Lord, I cried. And they say, what? Did it hurt? No. Did someone die? No. Then why are you crying? It was because I had never been with anyone other than my husband before. Little by little, the time passes, and then, well, it's not that you enjoy working here. The situation accommodates a need. Well, my family is very humble, very simple, and our economic situation isn't good. So yeah, I need this. That's the reason why I continue to work here.
In Mapastepec, Chiapas, 100 miles from the Guatemalan border, a top-secret operation unfolds under the cover of night. Because the train known as La Bestia stops here, this town is a hotspot for migrants waiting to catch a ride, and it's also a hotspot for gang members who kill, kidnap, and rape migrants. Sources tipped us off about this raid, and we followed a convoy of Mexican soldiers, police, and special agents into town. Agents searched for underage girls working as prostitutes, gang members, kidnapped migrants, and drugs. In a shelter for migrant families and children near the Guatemalan border, Honduran mother Olga Benitez admits she's concerned about what lies ahead.
I've heard many horrible things. I've heard a story about one Honduran girl who was raped along the way. They raped her, took her, did all these things, and then just left her there. And this rape had a consequence. She went back to Honduras pregnant. I've heard that they'll trap women, that they'll do awful things to them. They force them to sell sex. But I say, no, they're not going to trap me. I don't know.
But like the thousands of women before her, and the thousands that will follow, she's willing to pay the price for a better life. I'm Erin Siegel McIntyre, reporting from Tapachula, Mexico, and this is Fusion.
And I wasn't on the beach. This wasn't a harassment. I was raped. So on this particular night in October of 2010, I had met some people at the pool that day, and we went to dinner that night, and then we went to the nightclub. And when the nightclub closed, they have a trolley that can take you. Got on the trolley, got back with my friends. They saw me off, goodbye, went up. I was in like a little 3-story building, and I went up to my floor. So my key card, the electronic key card, did not work to get into my room. It flashed a red. So I knew I was gonna have to go to the lobby, get a new card. And I mean, it's well lit, it's nice, the grounds are beautiful. And I saw a security guard. So I went up to him really quickly. I didn't like being out there. And it was, hey, you know, my key's not working. Can you point me in the direction of the lobby? And so it was, yes, you know, come this way. And I'd start asking, okay, are we going, you know, I need a new key, I need a new card to get into my room. Can you point me in the right direction? See. And then I kind of got this weird vibe. And very, very quickly he started saying sexa, which I don't know Spanish at all, but I mean, considered, you know, that meant sex. And no, and kind of laughed, tried to laugh it off, thinking, you know, okay, if I laugh at it, it's gonna be a joke. So he was not gonna follow through. And sexa, no. He grabbed my arm, I pushed him off, no. He grabbed my other arm, he threw me in the bushes, and that's what happened. And so when I got up and kind of ran in any direction just to try to find how do I get to the lobby, I don't know how long that I ran. I mean, it had to probably be 10 minutes. I don't know. It could have been, I don't know. But I didn't pass a single person. And when I finally found the lobby and I went in and I just told them what had happened, and I was crying, and they just kind of all looked at each other like they didn't know what to do. And there were several security guards, management, people in the lobby. And please call the police. I've just been raped. Please call the police. Please call the police. No, ma'am, no. What happened? What's the problem? My foot was bleeding. And, you know, you can go to Hospi 10. You can take a cab 20 to 30 minutes away, go to Hospi 10, and it was, I'm not going to Hospi 10. I just need you to call the police. I don't want to go anywhere. I certainly don't want to get in a cab with somebody that I don't feel safe. And all I wanted to do was go home. I decided I did the best I could at that point. And the only other thing I could do was go to TripAdvisor. And I went to TripAdvisor and I posted the story, and it obviously got a lot of response. Some people, okay, trolling, is this a fluke? What is this? No, this is absolutely real. Every day, TripAdvisor would delete that post. And so I would go immediately and repost it the next day. And it would be removed again. And everybody in the comments was saying, get this out as quick as you can. It's gonna be deleted. There's other posts, there's other forums out there. Get the word out. I expected it to be deleted based upon the comments of what everybody was saying. Based on, this is going to be deleted. This is about rape. This is about the Iberostar. You know, get the word out there, go to other forums, because it's going to be deleted here. And then I'm just going to do it again. So I'll keep doing this every day if I have to. And then they blocked my IP address. So 7 years later, TripAdvisor agreed to repost the original, one of my original posts. They said that everything had evolved in their rules, regulations, and that had this been posted at this time, that my story would have remained and would not have been removed, and therefore they were willing to repost it. But I can guarantee that if there was a hotel that I was very interested in and I saw that there was something that occurred by a security guard at a large chain that had not been taken care of by management nor by corporate, I would not support that chain, and I would certainly not be going there. I think that's my biggest terror out of all of this, is it's the necessity to sweep it under the rug and not protect anybody else. And the number of times that it's happened since, and had my post remained, I mean, it's a hypothetical, but I don't know.
The hotel industry is a wild experience that helps you understand how disconnected the wildly wealthy are. I've seen the darker side of humanity: suicides, murders, spousal abuse, human trafficking. That shit stays with you for a long time. One weekend, a large group of around 60-ish people, they wanted to purchase out the entire hotel so they could just turn it into a giant orgy. The cost to buy out the property was upwards of $250,000 for 2 nights at a time. That says you've got money to spend. They left a nightmare room. Blood, feces, semen stains. One of my bellboys came up and was like, "I've got a black light, I'm curious." He turned it on, and I remember we looked down and saw the stains, we looked to the sides and saw them on the wall. At one point in the bathroom, we looked up and saw them all on the ceiling, and we were just like, how do you do this? This is not human. Were you on the ceiling? I worked as an operations manager for around 10 plus years. I've worked in hotels where the average daily rate is anywhere from like $99 and then all the way up to boutique properties where the average cost is around $1,400 per night. In general, the higher up that price value, the more common it is to be treated like you're less than human. The people who are coming to visit you, famous pop stars, Russian oligarchs, they have a private plane that they get in a private vehicle with all tinted blackout windows. Sometimes they have security squads. They'll snap their fingers at them. Very large sense of entitlement where if they approach the desk, they are the only thing that exists to you in that moment. And that's what they came to expect from that level of entering a luxury hotel. Most people who visit boutique hotels are not coming for business. They're there for pleasure. There was a group of fabulously wealthy individuals. You can definitely get a sense of how much wealth they actually have when they're talking about things like buying a fleet of Boeings in the lobby casually. They would buy out this entire property. They were spending as much as a luxury wedding. And it was basically a giant swingers orgy. You'd have people having sex in the pool, people laying on our wine bars naked, a couple having sex on a balcony in plain view. So you're looking up at it. Quite an angle. And every single room would have a different theme and a safe word posted outside of the door. The one that stands out to me was there's a mermaid-themed room. It was actually kind of impressive, the details they went, so it was very like under the sea vibe. There was the Wild West room. There was the straight-up BDSM room. One couple we had to talk to, while they were naked, they would purposely wait to start having sex until housekeeping wanted to clean the room. They wanted somebody to watch. The day after they had all departed, I got a call from housekeeping saying that one of the showers is busted, and I go take a look at it, and they had hacksawed off the actual shower piece, the shower head, and attached a 4-foot-long anal probe hose to it, with multiple settings on the other end. And that was as disgusting as you can imagine. After all of the the drama and mental scarring that we put up with for this orgy buyout group, probably between about 30 staff, I want to say we made $20 in tips. I found myself on more than one occasion getting stuck in awkward situations between husbands, their lovers, and then the actual wife. The worst case scenario was husband and wife shared credit cards naturally, and she started seeing the hotel show up on the books, and she stormed in and like slammed bank statements down. It's like, I know my husband's here, you guys are lying to me, we have to just say, you know what, I'm so sorry, we don't have anyone here by this name. And meanwhile, we can literally hear them having sex upstairs. Apparently she didn't notice the sounds were familiar to her, which might be a sad statement on their marriage, actually. The problem with working with the fabulously wealthy is that they often assume that the staff is there at their beck and call regardless of what the request is. It was really common for the high rollers to approach attractive staff members and essentially just ask them, hey, if I pay you X amount of dollars, will you meet me in my room later tonight and knock my brains out? That's a quote from someone, sadly. We had a very busty, gorgeous front desk woman at one hotel, and someone came down and offered her quite a bit of money in front of management. And at the moment, she naturally declined. I have security cameras in all the halls, and seeing that person sneak out around 2 a.m. was definitely a little suspicious. The most shocking example was an incident where the wedding was around 2 p.m.-ish that day. Come nightfall, one of our event staff slept with the wife and ended up getting caught. It turned into quite a big deal with screaming and shouting and all this stuff. He hid in a bathroom in a supply closet until the heat died down, and then he just walked into the front office and clocked out like nothing ever happened. His mom happened to be in charge of events, so she made sure he didn't get terminated. The demographics of the staffs who work at hotels are usually pretty evenly split. If you're an attractive white person who speaks English quite well, you're probably going to be reservations, front desk, something visual. If you're not of that ethnicity, just because they have an accent and that might not present well to your guests, your most likely bet is that you're going to get placed in housekeeping. If you're working at a decent property, you could probably get $10 to $15 an hour as a front desk host. If you're housekeeping, you're maybe getting 9 to 10. It was wildly unfair. We were actually advised to handle our housekeeping teams under the concept of divide and conquer, telling them, oh, well, so-and-so's team's much better than yours. You should really try to keep up with the Mexican team. It creates that toxic environment. This prevented the entire housekeeping team from uniting together and presenting concerns. And I saw that kind of model in multiple hotels. In retrospect, I can safely say that the hours they made me work, the wild situations you'd run into, it's a miracle that I never got in a really bad car accident commuting. It slowly burns you out in a way that you can't explain until you're out of it. You just kind of know something's wrong and you're not happy. The biggest thing that the public doesn't understand about the hotel industry is that there are wild things happening behind closed doors every single day. Fabulously wealthy individuals are wild. Everything happens behind closed doors at hotels.
I am so proud of what we were capable of doing and what we did in Operation Allies Welcome. Thousands of our Afghan allies paroled into the United States swiftly received employment authorization.
Anyone arriving in the United States will have undergone a background check.
The Turkish mafia basically rented a whole hotel, took these girls to this hotel, impregnated them, and the babies were then taken to have their organs harvested. Can you imagine the depth of depravity that it takes to take a poor child in an orphanage who's already lost their parents or already been abandoned, to then take them to a place of being raped, to then see that same child bear a child and maybe finally feeling like, gosh, I've accomplished something. Here's offspring, of my womb, to only then have that child ripped away to be harvested. And you've got rich people in the Emirates and Turkey and other countries of affluence, and they've got a dying child. They don't care about the child in a poor developing world. All they care about is they want to save the life of their child. They don't care how that heart, how that liver, how that kidney comes. All they care about is their child. And there's men who are willing to facilitate that. It's warped. No one is immune. Women, children, boys, Southeast Asia, Indian subcontinent, Latin America, Eastern Europe. There is nobody that is immune and out of the grip of this evil. So we're in Pattaya, Thailand, an area known for the sex tourism industry. A lot of people come here actually on an official sex tour. You can see one of the tour buses.
Now he's got his hand on bare skin. It doesn't get more open than this. Hold on, this guy in the suspenders.
Yeah. As we've walked this street here, it feels like a carnival atmosphere. What can only be described as a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh yeah. She was young. She was young.
It's 5 a.m. in Patpong, one of Bangkok's prostitution districts. This bar beside me here has a rather offensive name, but the truth is that everything that goes on this street and many like it in Bangkok is truly offensive. There's 50 girls at 6 in the morning?
Yes, sir. But now happy hour. Happy hour, the first room. No photo, no photo.
Well, don't have the door open then.
One of the things that really gets to me personally is a lot of these girls have numbers pinned to their chest, where a client would then pick out a girl by a number. They don't have a name, they don't have a history, they don't have a family. They're simply a number. They're a piece of meat to be put on display and chosen for butchering. It's a little after 7 in the morning, and the girls are still working out on the streets.
It's a little early to be working this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, because in the night time police is catching.
In the nighttime, the police are snatching the girls?
Touching.
Oh, touching. They abuse the girls. So you like to work the daytime to avoid the police.
Just across the border in northern Thailand, actually in Burma, and the sign behind me pretty much says it all. An exhortation to not sell your children, to not see your children be placed into domestic servitude, to beat and abuse them, and to also see them in a situation of child prostitution, sexual slavery. Imagine being sold into slavery for $10.
ไม่มีความสุขค่ะพ่อแม่ก็ต่างคนต่างแยกกันอยู่
My mother sold me for about 300 baht back behind the house, about $10.
The scars run deep, and it takes a loving home to be able to help mend some of those wounds. In a lot of these countries we work in, these kids graduate or age out of these institutional orphanages, often corrupt institutional orphanages, where even the directors will call the traffickers and let them know when certain kids are being released. I'm now involved in a campaign, Traffic Jam. They're seeking to unite musicians and their fans to jam up child trafficking around the world while also jamming to make a difference. We've got a lot of artists that have given us signed instruments as part of this Instruments of Change program. I've got a beautiful guitar here that was donated to us by Dave Matthews. He signed it. He's put some pretty incredible artwork on it here because he believes in this cause, and he believes that this instrument can be an instrument of change. Just a stroke of a pen can break the chains of slavery for a child.
Hello. Wow, hi.
There's few things on this planet that elicit such a passionate response in people than the music they identify with and the causes they identify with, and to marry those together, there's power in that.
The Middle East's main business hubs, but now a darker trade is thriving. The network is wide, from migrant smugglers to some of Egypt's leading doctors. A crumbling health system and shortage of organs has meant that people wait for years, so turn to the black market, where profits are huge.
If you've got money, anything is possible.
This man matches up those wanting to buy with those desperate enough to want to sell their organs. Conflict in the Middle East has made his job easier. What he is doing is illegal, but he now claims to feel remorse, so explains the trade to us.
People came to me wanting to sell their organ to pay to be smuggled abroad. Money never lasts long, but the promise of a safe life and opportunities overseas are a pretty good incentive.
Organ donation is complicated here. No money can change hands, and you can only donate to someone from the same nationality. But there are always ways to get around the law.
If someone's got dark skin, for example, they could pass as Sudanese. The brokers just make him a fake passport. You can buy the passports from the streets. It's really not a big deal.
Authorities claim they're trying to crack down on this trade. Last year, they conducted a raid of multiple clinics, resulting in the arrest of 45 people, among them doctors and nurses. Millions of pounds were recovered, yet for many, the profits outweigh the risks. We're on our way to meet a doctor who we've been told works as a surgeon within the organ trade. We're going in undercover, and our story is that my father's in desperate need of a kidney transplant, but can't find a donor. Medical costs for a legal transplant are around $3,000, but we've been told to say we'll pay whatever's necessary. This is illegal. Dr. Ahmed Mustafa works for the police. He reassures us that he can help.
اوكي ماشي والله لو الاوبشن موجود هتلاقينا اوتوماتيك على الرقم ده بنكلمك عشان بجهز نفسي بص انا هجيب كاش هتبقى تقريبا في 40000 دولار كل شيء شامل ايه بالظبط شامل كل شيء هو مش متبرع بياخد فلوس في ايده دي طبعا بتتساب في المعمل يعني هو هينزل يعمل عمليته تمام وبعد كده تمام انت هتبقى عارف التبرع بتسيبه فين اوكي يعني انا جيت معي 40000 اعطيك اياهم بدهم لنا ولا لمين نديهم؟ انا هاخد 20 شكرا شكرا.
People come from across the Middle East to buy kidneys. This man was on the government waiting list for months, until his health deteriorated to the point that the family decided to buy a kidney.
لما تعبت ما كنتش عايز اعمل عمليه انا متضايق كنت واخد مده بس انا ما رجعتش الحاله دوت لما لقيت قدامي واحد عمل عمليه ده هو ده الحل الوحيد قدامي عشان ان انا ارجع تاني للحاله الطبيعيه اللي انا كنت فيها. العمليه الظاهر هي قانونيه بس في الباك جراوند فيها حاجات
I ask him, what if something happens to the donor? Will I not be held responsible?
وزارة الصحة ما تقبلش الورق بتاعها إلا لما يكون في محضر الاسم مسجل، الراجل ده بره.
والظاهر إنه مش واخد فلوس، لكن طبيعي إن أنت بتجيب.
مقرر على البيت إن هو ما خدش فلوس.
During our investigation, we learnt of a man who died after selling his kidney. The risks are huge, but so is the desperation for a better life. And with no control in place, there'll be no stopping the organ trade. Nawal al-Makhafi, BBC News, Cairo.